Hello guys, welcome, and today we're talking about space with Hélène Huby, the co-founder and CEO of the Exploration Company. Well, its mission is to make space exploration affordable, available and open. Are you ready? So let's meet her. Hello Hélène, how are you today and where are you joining us from?
Yeah, hi Asha, it's a pleasure to join you. So I am French, joining from Germany.
Fantastic. So Hélène, you're the CEO and co-founder of a space exploration company whose mission actually is to make space exploration more affordable, available and open. That sounds really exciting. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, you know, we have the chance to live in a world or at a time when we are step by step becoming a multiplanetary species. And if I look at, who are the nations, who are the companies that are going to contribute to this amazing change, there are not so many, right? And it's still like for the happy few. So I thought it would be very important to create a company that would enable others, space and non-space companies, also countries that are not super space powers, to participate to this very important next step of humanity. And that's the reason why we design and develop and build a vehicle which is very affordable and a vehicle which has open interfaces. And some part of the vehicle, like the operating software, is going to be open source. So when we speak about democratization, when we speak about embarking new clients, it's real. We're taking that very seriously.
How difficult is it to convince investors to fund a space company?
Yeah, so we have private investors. You may perhaps know that we've raised one of the biggest seed round in Europe. So in 9 months, we've raised about a bit more than 10 million euro, which is for Europe a very, very big achievement. So I wouldn't say that it was difficult because the fundraising was quite fast and we had a choice, between investors who are interested in funding the company. But I think the recipe was that, let's say, 3 main points. On the one hand, the vision for the company was very clear, where we want to be in 5 years, where we want to be in 10 years, and how this company can become, one of the global players with European DNA. It was very clear. What was very clear also is that the team has amazing competencies. So we are a mix of people who have real experience, between 10 to 15 years experience in space, and people who are just graduated from university. And this is bringing a lot of dynamism, a lot of trust also to the investors that will be able to execute our vision. And third, the way we basically built the roadmap was designed so that this is VC fundable. So of course, we're not a software company, for sure. We are a very, very deep tech company. But, you need to prove that you can have commercial traction very early. And for many deep tech companies, that's something which is difficult because you don't have a product to sell. So we worked with Proxy. You've seen that probably on our website. You can already kind of pre-book your mission on our very first demonstrator. And so we adopted a development roadmap, which is super fast. In less than 1 year, we're going to deliver something which is qualified, ready for flight, right? And in the second demonstrator that will be ready for 24, we already fly with clients. And we've opened this pre-booking to fly with us in 24 in February, that is to say less than 6 months after the creation of the company. And having this super fast development roadmap, while building credibility and so a very clear vision, I think, has enabled us to be quite successful for the time being with the fundraising.
Fantastic. We will speak about the space flight and also speak about the clients just in a minute. But before that, tell us, why is it important for you, your organization, to democratize space exploration?
Well, it's it's one of the next extension of humanity, basically. I believe that in this decade, the low Earth orbit is going to be like the suburbs of the Earth. You'll have, between 4 to 5 to 6 space stations orbiting the Earth. Moon is going to be also within this decade a very important sandbox to prepare life on Mars. And also, probably within the next 10 to 15 years, a logistics center, because you have water on the moon and that water potentially can be used to refuel spaceships. final destination for, let's say, a reasonable time frame, being Mars. And if it's only like the space superpowers and a few companies that's going to design this next set of humanity, I'm not sure this is what we want as humans. Of course, not everyone has access to technology, not everyone has access to funding, but we believe it's important that Europe, especially with our values of unity and diversity, and with our very, very strong engineering competence, can also be a very credible player in this new ecosystem, which is currently being designed between the Americans and the Chinese. And if Europe has a credible voice, well, I think we can bring perhaps an ecosystem which is less confrontational, perhaps more peaceful. And I think it is also the core of the value to embark with us, other players. So it's not a business reason, this mission.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mission that we are embarked on. But of course, to be successful with that mission, we need to be very, very successful on the business side. This is absolutely clear. But the mission is really linked to the European DNA, and we want to give to every nation, every company, as much as possible, the possibility to participate to this next big step of humanity.
Now, let's talk about what you mentioned earlier. You said that we can book a flight, and we can see that on your website. I've read it, and
Yes.
For many different reasons, I think, from resupplying a space station to actually entertainment, product placement. So who are those clients? Tell us.
Yeah, so the first flight is going to happen in 2024. That will be a demo flight. We'll stay just a few hours in space and then come back and then, bring back to the clients their payload. Just to give you a few figures, we have about 300 kilogram payload capacity for this first flight, and already, two-thirds, so 66% of this payload capacity has been pre-booked by clients. So who has already pre-booked, our demonstration flight? It's a mix of clients. So we have clients who want to perform a technical demonstration of their space product. Basically, before you sell a product in the space market, you need to demonstrate that it works and that it works in space. And today, the way to do it is either you just launch it with a launcher and it doesn't stay very long in orbit, or you test it on the space station, but then it's like super expensive. And our value proposition is basically that you can fly with us. It's very affordable, and you can stay for like 6 months. So that's a very nice value proposition for the space industry, corporations, and startup. And we have both who signed LOIs with us who want to stay to test basically new space technologies. We also have people who are not from the space industry, and they want to do advertisement, they want to do product placement, they want also to use our spacecraft as a platform for virtual reality. For example, to enable people who cannot buy a 55 million euro dollar ticket, to go in space, to
Obviously.
just have their virtual reality glasses, but still, enjoy being in space with us. And we also have a third type of clients, which are people who want to do experiments in microgravity. And here you have, of course, I would say traditional clients who are space agencies or companies funded by space agencies who want to prepare life at the lunar surface or life on Mars, where you have a different type of microgravity. So you want to test it on a platform before you go there. But you also have new types of clients, which are pharma companies, which are agriculture companies, which want to use microgravity as a platform to accelerate research for the Earth. Because in microgravity, for example, stem cells are growing faster, they are more solid, so you can accelerate the research on stem cells. You can 3D print organs in microgravity, ways easier than you can do it on Earth, right? So for pharma application, it's a research platform which is interesting. The plants transform themselves in microgravity, you bring them back, they are more resilient, they use less water, they are more resilient for thermal modifications, for example. So again, that's a research platform for the agriculture industries, for the agri-tech industry. Same for materials. So we have clients from non-space industries, especially two clients from the agriculture industry who have already pre-booked to do here experiments that would benefit the Earth. So these are currently the three types of clients: space companies willing to demonstrate their technologies, I would say fun, emotion, and then acceleration of science to benefit the Earth.
Yeah, so The range is quite diverse.
Yeah.
Now, space has always been seen like a dream, something out of reach. Are we entering in a new era of space commercialization? This has already started.
Yeah. The big revolution that happened in the past 10 to 15 years was, of course, the decrease of the launch cost, driven by SpaceX, and I think the whole ecosystem is super grateful for that. Basically, we moved from 25,000 US dollar per kilogram being sent to now about 2,500 US dollar being sent. And that's going to continue with Starship. So this kind of, democratize, I would say, inverted comma, like Earth to space. And now comes the next step, which is space to space travel. And this is where our company is acting. The space to space travel is still for the happy few. It still costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to send something to space station, bring that back. And we're going to do that for a tenth of the price. It still costs 1 million to send 1 kilogram to lunar surface, right? And we're going to do that for 1/3 of the current price. So this space to space travel is still very expensive. And one reason for that is the technology. I mean, you think about SpaceX, right? They basically democratize Earth to space travel because of the industrial setup, because of many things, but the main reason now is because of reusability. And they are now bringing this reusability in the space-to-space travel with the capacity not only to have reusable vehicle, but also to refuel this vehicle in orbit, and then to refuel them with propellant made from space resources. And that's also exactly what we're going to do with our company. We design vehicles which are reusable, which can be refueled in orbit, and which use propellant that will be made longer down the road, not now, but longer down the road. They can be made from space resources. And then, of course, it's a complete new way of traveling into space, right? It's ways more sustainable, it's ways more affordable, and this is how basically we can democratize the space-to-space travel.
Hélène, you were speaking about vehicles. Can you very briefly tell us about your orbital vehicle, Nix, and how much will it cost to fly, in this vehicle?
Yeah, so Nix is like, think about your car on Earth, right? Of course, it's not the same shape, but it's the same basic principle. So we have one Nix vehicle for the low Earth orbit, one Nix vehicle for the moon. As I was mentioning, it's a space-to-space travel vehicle, which is reusable, which can be refueled, and which can be refueled with LOX methane, so oxygen liquid, methane liquid. And these resources are available on Mars. So because that's the kind of final destination, we start with low Earth orbit, we start with the moon, but everybody knows that the final destination is Mars. And we are also compatible using LOX methane with the propellant of the ecosystem. SpaceX will use oxygen liquid, methane liquid with their Starship. Some private stations also are using this propellant. So you think about the vehicle also like something which is modular. If you want to go to space station, you're going to use the capsule and what is called the service module, which is basically handling the radiators. If you want to go to the moon, you'll add an additional propulsion system, and we can land on the moon. If you want to go to lunar station, you'll add the same capsule that we are having for the Earth. So it's like Lego, basically. We have some tech bricks that we are putting together depending on your destination. So this is also a way to decrease the cost, right? Because we are reusing many tech bricks depending on the mission. And coming back to the main mission and also the cost. So basically, we have three main usages, or we serve, let's say, three main markets with our vehicle. The one is to be a space station for mini space station, robotized for 10% of the price of the space station. The second usage is to resupply the space station. That's going to be a very big market because you'll have 3 to 4, potentially 5 space stations orbiting around the Earth by the end of the decade, and you have very few vehicles able to resupply them. And the third market is, of course, transportation towards the moon. And the cost, that was your question. So we target to have $20,000 per kilogram up down, which is very, very affordable if you look at the price on the market today. Of course, it depends on the launcher, because it's not the same. If we launch with an affordable launcher, the price will be lower. If we launch with a more expensive launcher, the price will be higher. We are launcher agnostic, so that's also something very important. We can launch with SpaceX, we can launch with Ariane, we want to be able to launch with the new launcher of Rocket Lab and a new launcher of Relativity Space. But okay, more or less, it will start at $20,000 per kilogram, up and down. So it's not up, it's up and down. That's very important.
Okay, Hélène, so if you need somebody to test, all the test flights, call me. Thank you, Hélène.
We start with cargo, just to be clear. And of course, we want to be able to carry humans afterwards. We have in the team, we are one of the very, very few teams in Europe that has worked on a human-rated program. So we have this competence in the team, but because we have this competence, we also know that it's better to start with cargo, then you can prove your reliability, and then, you move to humans. So the design is thought as a human-rated design already, but we will start with cargo. So super happy to have you on board, but just wait a few years. And it's also more reasonable because then we have proven our reliability with some cargo, right?
So looking forward to that, Hélène. And I know that you're going to be there in June. It's your first time, right, at VivaTech this year?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Hélène, for sharing your insights with us today. And don't leave yet, we still have a few questions in the Speakeasy. Well, if you liked what you're watching and you don't want to miss the next videos, feel free to subscribe to our channel, and I will see you next week. See you guys.
Yeah, I think it's my earpods that I just bought for running. Not so much, I think about 30, 40. Very early riser. Well, I wanted to change the world. Both. That's the wrong answer, but I'd love to meet with some tech CEOs.